Welcome to the third and final stage of this course, where we'll be learning how to manage data within Power BI. In this part, we'll focus on how to organize the information and how to create visuals that help us extract valuable insights from the data we've collected. The goal is to improve decision making, making it more accurate, more informed, and ultimately more effective. To begin working with the data inside Power BI, the first thing you'll need to do is open the report that RODS are downloaded to your device when you previously generated the report. Once you open the file, Power BI will immediately show you the data source it's using for the visuals. To confirm that the correct data source is being used, compare the report ID shown in Power BI with the one found inside RODSer and within your spreadsheet database. For example, inside RODSer, you can go to the Slots tab, locate the slot associated with the file named RODSer base, which is the one we've been using throughout the course, and check the first column where the report ID appears. You'll notice it matches the one Power BI is using. You can also double-check this inside your spreadsheet file. The report ID is visible in the file name. Once you've confirmed the match, you can click to load the data. It's possible that at this point you'll see some error messages. That's completely normal because of the elements of doors and windows that don't have assigned values in the dataset, as we discussed earlier. In that case, simply click Close to continue. Power BI will then open the first report page, and what you'll see right away is your 3D model viewer. This is one of the main advantages of using RODSer. It allows you to bring your 3D model directly into Power BI and interact with it. Later, once we start building out additional visuals like tables or charts, you'll see how the 3D model and the visuals become fully interactive. Selecting an item in the table will highlight it in the model and vice versa. To begin building the report, we'll start with a 4D simulation. That means we'll create a report that combines the 3D model with an added dimension, time. This allows us to incorporate the construction schedule of the project into the visuals. To get started, you can delete this page that we will not be using, and you can duplicate this one with the model viewer. To duplicate, right-click on it and select Duplicate Page. Rename this new page as 4D Simulation. And now you're ready to start customizing your report. Before adding visuals or assigning data, it's important to make sure your dataset is in good condition. To verify that, go to the Table view and open the Pivot table. Let's sort the data in descending order by the 4D task ID. As you look through the data, you may notice that some columns are incorrectly formatted. For example, the start and end dates might not be recognized as dates, and numerical values such as volume or area may appear as text. You can tell because the text is left aligned, which Power BI uses for non-numeric data. Before creating visuals, these formats need to be corrected so the software reads the values properly. To make those changes, go to the Home tab and click on Transform Data. Inside the data editor, select the pivot table, and from there, take a look at the column types on the left-hand side. Each one shows its current data type. In our case, the 4D task ID should remain as text, but columns like volume and area need to be converted into numeric format. Select the column, then choose Decimal Number from the Data Type menu. You'll notice the values shift to the right, indicating that Power BI now reads them as numbers. Do the same for the area column. Next, check the unit column. That can remain as text. However, the unit price column is also being read as text, and it should be formatted as a monetary value. Select it and change the data type to Fixed Decimal Number. You'll see a currency symbol appear, confirming the format has been applied correctly. Now, move to the start date and end date columns. Each should be changed to date format. Once you apply this, Power BI will begin recognizing and displaying the actual dates. Also, make sure the quantity column is set as a decimal number and the final price column is set as fixed decimal number. Finally, the report ID can remain as text. Once all the columns are formatted correctly, click Close and Apply. You'll be returned to your report view, and now your data is in the correct format. The numeric fields are being interpreted as numbers, the dates are showing properly, and the financial fields are formatted as currency. On the right-hand panel, you can also confirm that Power BI is treating each field as intended, for example, recognizing date fields and allowing numerical values to be summed. Now we're ready to begin building our report. Since this is a 4D simulation, it's important to include not only the model and basic information like volume or area, but also the construction schedule, the time dimension. This combination is what makes a 4D report so powerful. You can lay it out however you prefer. In this example, we'll create a basic layout that includes a pivot table with the project data, a title at the top, and a Rodzer logo. You're also welcome to add your company logo or any image to practice inserting graphics into your report. Let's begin by adding a text box at the top and entering the project name. From here, we'll start building out the rest of the visual components that make this simulation meaningful. Let's begin by giving this project a name. We'll call it Project Zipaquira. In addition to that, I'll insert the Rodzer logo, just as we mentioned earlier. To do this, go to the Insert tab and select the option for images. Once that's set, we can begin adding visuals to our report. I'll start by adding a timeline visual. Then I'll include a Gantt chart. I already have both visuals available in the Build panel, where Power BI shows all the visuals currently installed. If you don't see these two in your options, don't worry. You can go to the Visuals Marketplace and download any additional visuals beyond the default ones. Just click the three-dot menu, then click Get More Visuals. It might prompt you to log in with your Microsoft account before opening the Marketplace. Once you're in, you can search for the visuals you need. For this example, we'll search for Gantt, and several options will appear. The visuals I'll be using are called Timeline 2.40 and Gantt 3.0, 1.2.0. I'll start with the timeline visual. Power B, I will immediately ask for the necessary data fields to populate the visual. I'll use the start date for this one, so I'll drag and drop that into the visual. Right away, you'll see that the timeline shows us that construction, or the building elements, begin between March and June. And this is where the interactive capabilities of Power BI really start to show. If I select the month of March within this visual, the 3D model will automatically highlight only those elements that start construction in March. I can do the same for April, May, and June. You'll see the 3D viewer updating in real time to match the timeline selection. If at any point you want to reset the model, you can simply switch pages briefly before returning. This helps the 3D viewer refresh. I'll now reposition the timeline visual on the screen and move on to adding the Gantt chart, as planned. For the Gantt chart, it asks us to specify the task, the start date, and the end date. If you have additional information, you can also include dependencies between tasks, calculated durations, or percentage completions. These can all be visualized in the chart. In our case, the task will be defined by the 4D task ID, and we'll add the start and end dates as well. Once added, you'll see that for each 4D task ID assigned to elements in the model, the Gantt chart reflects their position in the construction schedule. I'll now also include a basic table to display element information more clearly. In this table, I'll add the 4D task ID, the start date, and the end date. By default, Power BI splits the date into year, quarter, month, and day columns, but I prefer to display it as a full date. To do this, I right-click on the Start Date field and deselect the hierarchy view. Now it displays the full date in one column, which is much cleaner. I'll do the same for the end date. Next, I'll add the quantity of each element. And to clarify what that quantity refers to, whether it's an area or volume, I'll also include the unit field. This way, the table shows both the values and their context. As mentioned earlier, Power BI visuals are fully interactive. So, for example, if I click on the 4D task ID 91, which corresponds to the columns in our model, the 3D viewer will instantly highlight those elements. If I reset the view and then select all elements that begin construction in March, both the table, the Gantt chart, and the 3D model will update together to show only the relevant data. This is the power of visual interactivity in Power BI. All components sync in real time based on the filters you apply. Let's say you want to know which elements are being built in March, their start dates, and how much is being constructed. You'll find all that in the table, and you'll see the exact elements in the 3D viewer. Now let's add visuals that show individual metrics. I'll make the table a bit smaller and add what's called a card visual. Just a quick note. If you have one visual selected when you add another, Power BI will replace the selected visual with the new one. To avoid this, click somewhere in the report canvas outside any visual before inserting a new one. I'll add a card visual for total area by selecting the area field. This gives us the total constructed area. I'll do the same for volume so we can see the overall built volume too. Finally, I want to show you one last visual that's particularly helpful for understanding the construction process over time. If you've defined the schedule properly, meaning you've included start and end dates for each element, this visual lets you simulate the entire construction process in real time. This particular visual is not included in Power BI by default. To access it, you'll need to go to the Visuals Marketplace and search for Play Axis. Once you find it, click to add it to your visuals. After it's imported, you'll see it in your build panel. Click to insert the Play Axis visual and assign the start date field to it. You'll see that it also uses the date hierarchy. In this case, I'll keep it by month. Now I'll position the visual in the upper right corner of the report. When I click Play, Power B, I will start simulating the construction timeline. As each month progresses, the 3D viewer and other visuals will update accordingly, showing you exactly what is being built, when it's being built, and how it fits into the overall schedule. This is a great example of a 4D dashboard, where we combine our 3D model with the fourth dimension, time. There are many visuals available in Power BI and in the Visuals Marketplace that can help you build these kinds of simulations. In this video, we explored several options: the Gantt chart, the timeline visual, basic tables, card visuals, and the real-time simulator. You can take this even further by customizing your visuals, adding new data, and refining your layout to make your reports even more insightful and useful. And with that, we wrap up the 4D simulation section of the course. In the next part, we'll dive into 5D simulation, where we'll incorporate cost as a fifth dimension.